Welcome to day 3 of the 2025 Lloyd's Tour of Britain Women and the first visit to Scotland in the history of the Tour. We're in the beautiful market town of Kelso in the Scottish borders, which hosts the start and finish of today's stage. With 2 stages done and 2 to go, we're at the halfway point in the race and it couldn't be tighter at the top of the leaderboard. The peloton rolled out from Hartlepool in damp and windy conditions. Very early on in the stage, there was a dramatic moment for race leader Kim LeCourt as she went down heavily.
Ooh, big crash at the back here, Hayley. And the green jersey's down.
Happily, she was able to continue. 3 riders broke away. Tiffany Keep of Das Hutchinson, Madeline Leach of Hansing Alba Development Team and Smurfit Westrock's Lucy Gadd built up a lead of over 2 minutes. Keep won the sprint at Gisborough and she was out front on her own over the first climb of the day at Marske Hill, but the race was kicking off and she was soon swept up by the chasers. On the first pass through the finish line at Saltburn, Kristen Faulkner picked up 3 bonus seconds.
A throw for the line. Well, try and separate them. A photo finish between Ferguson and Faulkner.
As the race hit Marske Hill for the second time, Mara Roldan of Team Picnic Post NL made the decisive move. Rihanna Marcus of Little Trek tried to bridge the gap, but coming up Saltburn Bank, the young Canadian still had an advantage.
And they say fortune favours the brave, and it's favoured Mara Roldan. It's exceptional the way that she's ridden, and nobody could do anything about it. Not Olympic champions, not national champions, and Roldan is going to win stage 2 of the Lloyd's Tour of Britain Women.
In the general classification, Kristen Faulkner now leads by 4 seconds from Rihanna Marcus. Ali Wollaston is third at 12 seconds and Kat Ferguson is up to 4th, 14 seconds off the lead. Caroline Swinkles is 5th, then Megan Jastrab heads a group of 3 riders at 16 seconds. The final stage of this year's tour is a short city centre circuit of Glasgow, so today's stage should prove decisive in the GC battle. At the start in Kelso, the main contenders were preparing for the longest and toughest day of the race.
The GC is really close. There's quite a few of us that are on the same time, so yeah, I'm excited to see what we can do out there today.
Yeah, we're really happy. I moved up a few places in GC, so yeah, we're really looking forward to today.
Today is definitely going to be the hardest stage. It's the longest, the most amount of elevation.
The racing so far has been really hard, and I think today's Queen stage will be too. Everyone is going all in, so yeah, I expect a really nice race today.
Each day I'm seeing how the girls are riding, and yeah, I'm excited for what's to come today.
The race is going to be really, really hard today, so just staying in good position all day. I think it's going to be a race of attrition, and whoever's there in the final is going to get the best spot on GC.
It would be really nice to just try and move up into that podium spot. To do that, I think we need to be aggressive. We've sort of been on the back foot the last 2 races, and we definitely have the team physically. We're always there when other teams have numbers lacking. We just need to be a bit smarter in how we use that.
My teammate Anna Anderson, she's still in place 10 in GC, but she's not that far back as well. So I think many things can happen, but GC will definitely get shaped today. And yeah, it will be a really hard one.
It's definitely going to be a challenging day, and it's 3rd stage, so people's legs are different. So yeah, we'll see how people show up today.
Today's the day to perform.
Right, here's what the peloton will be facing today. The Scottish Borders stage marks the first time in Women's Tour history that the race has visited Scotland. Starting and finishing in Kelso, it's also the longest and hardest stage of this year's race, at 143.8 kilometres long with over 1,800 metres of ascending. Climbs at Scottsview, Dingleton and Dunan Hill will test out the peloton before they return to Kelso for the intermediate sprint. The riders then do a short loop, passing through Melrose and repeating 2 of the categorised climbs before racing to the stage finish on Kelso's cobbled Market Square. The riders are lined up at the start in Kelso, so let's join commentary with Hannah Walker and Hayley Simmons.
We're in the beautiful market town of Kelso in the Scottish Borders, which hosts the start and finish of today's stage. You can see the jersey wearers lined up on the start line. The flag is waved. The fans have arrived to greet the riders. We leave across the cobbles here in the square. You've got Kristen Faulkner in the green jersey as the leader of the race. Anuska Costa, watch out for her in the blue jersey. Mara Roldan, yesterday's stage winner, in the red jersey. And Great Britain's very own Kat Ferguson in the white jersey as the best young rider. Well, the crowds have come out in force to welcome the riders and to cheer them on. And thankfully, the sun is shining. There is the European champion on the far left side in the white skin suit and the European bands across the chest. We take a look at Das Hutchinson in the blue and lime green jersey. There is a closer look at the Olympic champion and the leader of this race in the Lloyd's green jersey. 2 stages to try and defend this jersey. Can she do it? Today, the longest stage, the hardest stage, and 5 Queen of the Mountains to contend with.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got 2 Category 3 climbs, 3 Category 1 climbs, 1 intermediate sprint. So there really are a lot of obstacles standing between these women and the finish line back in Kelso in 143.8 kilometres.
Through kilometre 0, the stage officially underway. Rod Ellingworth, the race director, waving the flag. Coming into our first Queen of the Mountain of the day. Oh, problem here on the right-hand side for a couple of riders. One of those riders is Tiffany Keep, the rider who was in the breakaway yesterday. She's come down, number 153, but also Alex Morris getting caught up. Into the base of the first Queen of the Mountain of the day. This is Scott's View, a 3rd categorized climb, 2.2 kilometers long with an average gradient of 2.9%. But the first part of this climb is brutal. You've got gradients of 12, 13% here.
Yeah, I think the profile or the average gradient doesn't really tell the full story of this climb because, as you mentioned, the bottom part is steep. There's actually a little bit of descent as well before the final 500 or so meter kick to the line. And it looks as though FDJ Suez are going into this climb with a plan. They're really lighting things up on the lower slopes, and the peloton behind are already stretched out.
You can see Ali Wollaston, who sits second wheel for FDJ Suez in that navy blue jersey with the red sleeve. She's the former New Zealand road race champion. Just coming onto the wheel right now with the black gilet on and the white jersey. That's the Polish national champion, Dominika Wlodarczyk. She's right up there in the standings, wanting to try and take some more points in this Queen of the Mountain. 4, 3, 2, 1 points available for the first 4 riders across the top of this Queen of the Mountain. And meanwhile, due to this pace, riders are struggling here.
Absolutely, and I think all of these Queen of the Mountains today are going to be really hotly contested because overall there are 38 points on offer, and currently the leader of that classification, who's Kristen Faulkner, only has 18, so the standings can completely change today.
Marie Linette, another former French champion who's on the front, just trying to inject some pace here. Dominika Wlodarczyk is the only rider to try and go with her. Well, we're starting to see a little bit of daylight. We didn't have any breakaways thus far in today's stage, but now it's FDJ Suez who are turning the screw and trying to do something here on this climb. In the chase behind, there's a handful of seconds between them. Lorena Wiebe is in the main pack of the peloton as they go through 500 meters before they crest the top of Scott's View. It's Lorena Wiebe in the white jersey who sits in 3rd wheel. Taking a look down, one of the riders from Picnic Postinel, by the looks of things in that red jersey, is trying to bring things back to heel here.
Just look at the length of this this group behind, just how stretched out the riders are, and that indicates just how much pace these riders at the front have injected and the speed that they're taking this climb at.
Anna Henderson now takes over the reins at the front. It's the Olympic silver medalist of Lidl Trek in the red, blue and yellow jersey who's trying to come up to these 2 riders. Marie Linette in the navy blue and red, Dominika Wlodarczyk in the white jersey with the black gilet. As they come towards the top of this climb, Wlodarczyk is going to go and try and take these maximum points. They're working well together, but Henderson has done a good job at nullifying this breakaway. Over the top of the climb, Wlodarczyk does indeed take the maximum 4 points. Marie Linette taking the 3, Henderson settling for the 2 points, but that's good news for the Polish champion. Here is confirmation, it was Wollaston who picked up the 1 remaining point there.
The question now is whether the pace will ease and it will give riders behind who've been slightly distanced the chance to get back on terms or not.
Oh dear, problem here for our leader in the green jersey. Kristen Faulkner, the Olympic champion, has a bike from a teammate. That's Babette van der Wolf, who has given her her bike. Now the green jersey is back underway, but she's got to chase. Through Melrose, the birthplace of rugby sevens, they're aiming and going towards the next Queen of the Mountain, Category 1, Dingleton. It's 2.6 kilometres long, 6.1% average gradient. A wide road, but steep beginnings here, and Jade Veal, the former French champion, down the centre of the road, is applying some pressure and applying the pace. There's the rider who sits second overall in the general classification, Rhiannon Marcus, in the blue, red and yellow of Lidl Trek. But look at the difficulty at the back of the group here. You've got the rider in the blue jersey, Anuska Costa, who's fighting to try and stay in the wheels.
Already the lower slopes of this climb are starting to do damage, and once again it's riders from FDJ Suez that are applying the pressure, presumably trying to put Ali Wollaston in a really strong position heading towards the intermediate sprint, which we'll see coming up a bit later on.
Ali Wollaston, we know her as a fast rider who's able to win bunch sprint. She's a world champion on the track inside the velodrome, but she can climb well. Just up ahead, the weather's looking a little bit ominous, but right now Wollaston is looking good. She's being well protected by the team.
Yeah, she is, and she had a really good finish yesterday on the stage that finished on Saltburn Bank. So it looks like her form's really good, and it seems like her teammate and teammates, all the riders from FDJ Suez, are really rallying around her and believe that it's possible that she could put herself onto the GC podium in this race.
You can see Lizzie Deignan, the former world champion and two-time winner of this race, sitting in second wheel. She's the rider who is wearing the red, blue and yellow jersey of Lidl Trek, a red helmet. She knows how to win this race. She can give a lot of insight, experience, knowledge to Rhiannon Marcus to try and help the current Dutch time trial champion to try and win this general classification. She comes into the day only 4 seconds in arrears to Kristen Faulkner, who has that green jersey on her shoulders.
That's one thing that makes this race so exciting. There are such small time gaps at the top, and obviously there are bonus seconds on offer at intermediate sprint points, and it gives teams and riders the opportunity to be aggressive.
Number 43 here in the pink jersey, this is Sarah Roy, who's in the convoy. She's a teammate of Kristen Faulkner, and meanwhile there's riders out the back. FDJ Suez turn the tap once again, and this is Amber Crack, the Dutch rider, the 30-year-old Dutch rider racing for the French World Tour squad, who applies more pressure. Lauren Dixon behind in the pink and blue jersey, she reacts. Lizzie Deignan's able to react, as is Eleonora Gasparini in the white. Cecilia Uttrup-Ludwig in the pink jersey, she's looking comfortable, as is yesterday's stage winner in the red, Mara Roldan.
She's having an incredible race, and she's got to take confidence from yesterday's victory. We know she's climbing well, and she's positioned herself really nicely just to make sure that she doesn't lose contact and remains at the front of this race today.
Yesterday, FDJ Suez, we were wondering what the tactic was going to be. Maybe it was to throw everything into this big day, because today the general classification could be decided.
Absolutely. There are so many obstacles on today's stage, and we've already seen the unpredictability that comes out of this race. And obviously, FDJ Suez had looked at the race overall, and they used yesterday to put Ali Wollaston into that good position. She finished the stage with third place on the general classification, and they obviously know that there are lots of bonus seconds coming up on intermediate sprints and that she can maybe take advantage of that.
Amber Crack crests the top of Dingleton, the Category 1 climb. She takes the 10 maximum points in the Queen of the Mountains competition, closely followed by Mara Roldan, who picks up the 9 points. And meanwhile, here in the chase is Nina Burton, bringing back the green jersey. Kristen Faulkner, the Olympic champion, she brings her through the groups. It's Barbara Gurishki who is looking to her right-hand shoulder. Chiara Consoni is there, as is Anuska Costa. Several riders from Oliver Lula Jaco, including one of those being Ruby Roseman Gannon, a former stage winner here of the Lloyd's Tour of Britain Women. She can see the top of this climb up ahead, but they're making inroads now.
Yeah, they've done a really good job together of clawing back this deficit sit a little bit. And Nina Berton has done such a good job for her teammate in terms of dropping back at the right time, picking her up and delivering her back to this front group.
There we get confirmation of Dingleton, that Category 1 climb. Crack taking the 10, it's Roldan taking the 9. Further down, Gasparini taking 5 points, Uttrup Ludwig with the 4, Lecourt taking 3, Wollaston with the 2, Henderson taking the 1. But we're starting to see the pace really start to ramp up now. Several teams who are represented at the front. On the far left side, it's Megan Jastrab in the indigo and orange jersey. Down the centre of the road, it's the rider in the pink jersey, Zoe Backstead, as we get to the base of the third queen of the mountain of the day. And the pace has really started to ramp up here. Dominika Wlodaszek on the right-hand side as riders want to try and take bottles. You can see Charlotte Cole there.
The pace has been unrelenting, and what that means is that riders who have been distanced on the earlier climbs have had no opportunity whatsoever to come back. And, you know, this is the third categorised climb of the day. We still have an intermediate sprint and 2 other categorised climbs to go.
This is the next categorised climb. It's a first cat climb of Dunan Hill, 3.8 kilometres long with an average gradient of 5%. The profile of today's stage is pretty severe. Riders are still chasing their way back on, and it's so fragmented because of the nature of the race. Anna Morris discards a bottle, gets another one. She's an Olympic medalist on the track, and you're seeing some top quality riders suffer on today's stage.
Absolutely, and it's not just the fact that today's stage by itself has been so challenging for these riders, but they've got the accumulated fatigue of 2 previous hard stages. The course that the organisers have designed has led to some incredible racing, really exciting racing, but it's so fatiguing for these riders.
Exciting racing, it's been unpredictable, it's lent itself to riders and teams who are opportunists. They're wanting to try and take a risk. That provides exciting racing. It's dynamic, it's great entertainment, but also given the fact that it's been unpredictable and we've had 2 brilliant winners thus far, Kim LeCourt winning stage 1, yesterday Mara Roldan. Today anything can happen, and given the fact that we've had showers on and off today, we've had some pretty harsh downpours, then the sun's come back out, so you're on and off wet and dry roads.
Yeah, and it makes it difficult for the riders because they're not necessarily sure exactly what clothing to take. We've seen riders put clothing on, take it back off, put it back on again. You know, there are equipment choices to be made, and when conditions are going to change through the day, you just have to make your best guess at the start of the stage in terms of what setup to go with. But the riders from EF Education Oatly are doing such a good job at protecting Kristen Faulkner and trying to ensure that she stays in the leader's jersey today.
They've had a long chase, haven't they? And chapeau to Nina Berton, who's the rider on the far right-hand side of the screen in the pink jersey, who's brought her back through, along with her teammate Sarah Roy earlier on. It was Babette van der Wolf who gave Kristen Faulkner her bike so that Kristen Faulkner could at least have a shot at remaining in this jersey. So EF Education Oatly, a strong unit together as a team. And meanwhile, Anna Morris, she's making headway here on this climb of Dunan Hill. Can she get to this group here, the leading group, before she crests the top of the climb?
She's so strong that she'll just settle into a nice rhythm. She'll keep riding her own pace. She'll have to hope that there aren't too many more injections of pace at the front, because that will obviously make life more difficult for her. But at the moment, she'll just keep riding as best she can, and hope that maybe she gets some help as well from some other riders joining her from behind.
You can see how it's a block across the road. Nina Berton just signalling she wants to go to the right-hand side of the road, the left-hand side of the screen as we see it, because she, I would imagine, is looking for a bottle from one of her Team Soigneurs at the right-hand side of the road. Kristen Faulkner, it's like a tandem, isn't it? She just wants to follow each and every move of Nina Berton. She's such a great pilot.
It's really useful to have that wheel in front of you that you can just watch and try and keep pace with teammates' ride as well. You'll feel safe and secure in the wheel of your teammates, and Kristen Faulkner's really lucky to have someone so reliable as Nina Berton with her.
This is the longest of all 5 climbs. Dunan Hill is 3.8 kilometres long, an average gradient of 5%. Jadville on the far left side is looking over her left-hand shoulder, just assessing the situation. She can see a number of her teammates who are there with Amber Crack. Alessia Vigilia is the rider in the black jersey on the front right now. On the far right-hand side, that's Zoe Backstead with the Red Bull helmet, the pink jersey, just pointing out a little obstruction on the road to her teammates and the riders behind. There's a real mutual respect within this peloton. Sonia Beekhouse moves away forward.
It's in everyone's best interest to keep each other safe and look out for each other. So it helps if riders can point to any difficulties, or if they, don't feel that they can take their hands off the bars at that point, they can call them out. And it just ensures that there's as much safety as possible within the peloton.
On the far left side, you can see Kim LaCourte in that Mauritian Champions jersey, the white jersey with the multicoloured bands around the chest. She crashed heavily yesterday. She managed to finish the stage. And so at this point in today's stage, given the fact it's been pretty brutal, it's been very attritional, great to see she's still there in this group. And meanwhile, Dominika Wlodarczyk is looking for 10 points at the top of this Queen of the Mountain. She does so successfully, 10 points into the pocket of the Polish pocket rocket. Just behind her, it's one of the riders from FDJ Suez who follow closely. Wlodarczyk has been very impressive over the last few days. And there we get confirmation. Wlodarczyk takes the 10, Geret taking 9, Roldan with the 8, Gasparini taking 7, Burton taking 6, Backstead with the 5, Dijkman taking 4, Swinkels taking 3, Faulkner with 2, and Crack taking the 1 remaining point. Meanwhile, Anna Morris is still chasing, but cars are coming by, and that's never a good sign.
She's got a fast descent ahead of her, and she'll just be able to pick her own line, hopefully find a place in the convoy, and that will help her get back to this group that she's just lost contact with.
Salah Zaman, another rider who's abandoned today's stage. Morris is still going to chase, but it's going to be a long one.
Before we rejoin the race, here's a chance to get to know a little more about our race leader, Kristen Faulkner.
My name is Kristen Faulkner, and I ride for EF Oatly Cannondale.
What food could you not live without?
Salmon.
What superpower would you like to have?
Ooh, to read people's minds.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Favorite color?
Pink. And gold.
Which season do you prefer?
Summer.
What other sport are you good at?
Running and swimming.
Favorite place to go on holiday?
Alaska.
Worst type of weather?
Ooh, really, really windy, cold rain.
Which film or TV show do you quote most often?
Friends.
If you could be any animal, what would that be?
Monkey.
What dish do you cook best?
Indian curry.
Who or what makes you laugh the most?
My friends.
Best advice for a young athlete?
Bet on yourself and invest in yourself.
Into the final 55 kilometres of the race. Oh, big crash at the front of the race. Marta Roldan's down in the red jersey. That's brought a number of riders down, including the European champion Lorena Wiebes. The green jerseys come down, as has Barbara Górycki. The Polish champion Wlodarczyk has come down, as well as Odbianik, and this is a terrible crash. At the intermediate sprint into Kelso, Ali Wollaston is sprinting across the cobbles. She takes the 3 bonus seconds and the 10 points. She bags those, whilst Kat Ferguson takes 2 bonus seconds. That's good news for their general classification hopes and ambitions. As we see the confirmation, Wollaston did indeed take it ahead of Ferguson. Geret taking the 5 and the 1 bonus second, whilst Quinty Ton took 3 points and Letizia Paternoster taking 1. An unfortunate crash there from Kristina Burlova. Fortunately, the rider from Czechia of Ceratizit Pro Cycling is okay. Into the next Queen of the Mountain. They've already seen the run into Scott's View. This is a Category 3 climb. It's Zoe Backstead in the pink jersey who leads them into the base of the climb. But don't forget, this is the climb where you've got the double-digit gradients of 11, 12, 13%. Big news, though. Kim LaCourte has abandoned the stage.
Yeah, she was one of the riders that unfortunately looked to have been caught up in that crash that we saw earlier on. So hopefully she's not too badly hurt. And it's a shame to see our first stage winner and green jersey wearer having to abandon on today's stage.
It certainly is. It's been a pretty treacherous 24 hours for AG Insurance Soudal after yesterday Gleisverhulst wild crash, 8 fractured ribs, a pneumothorax, a collapsed lung, and another rider has abandoned. Caroline Coops of Hess Pro Cycling has abandoned too. Well, today has been a pretty treacherous day, not least because of the weather conditions. We've got a whittled down group here, led by Emma Norsgaard-Björg in the red, yellow and blue jersey. On the far right side in the pink, that's Alice Towers, a former British road race champion. We're into the narrow roads, the country roads here, and this is where we saw a lot of action, whereas this time round, after a number of kilometres in the legs, the fatigue is setting in. It's a very different scenario here, and riders and teams thinking about the next 30-odd kilometres here.
Exactly, and you spoke about the fact that it's been really whittled down, and it was on this climb of Scott's View earlier on in the stage that FDJ Suez really took it upon themselves to attack the race, and the peloton was just broken apart, and because really it's been unrelenting since then, with Little Trek attacking, keeping the pace high. Just riders haven't had a chance to get back on terms, and what we're seeing now is a real reduced group of riders.
At the back of the group, this is the South African champion, Sonara Grove, the 31-year-old racing at the back. Also Anuska Costa in the blue jersey is at the back. Great to see in that grey rain cap, Cecilia Trup-Ludwig, a stage winner in the Tour de France back in 2022, is there for Canyon SRAM Zonda Crypto. She's got Alice Towers, who is there to look after her. Eleonora Gasparini's just on the wheel, as is Quinty Ton in the purple jersey. She's been quiet so far, Cecilia Trup-Ludwig, over the last couple of days. You get the sense that she's waiting for one blistering attack.
She's a rider who always animates racing, and so you always get the sense that, you know, she's not just going to sit quietly in the peloton and leave the racing up to the other riders. She loves to race, and she's definitely going to be trying something.
Coming towards the top of Scott's View, AG Insurance Soudal launch a rider up the road in this navy blue jersey. That sends FDJ Suez in the chase. She's going to take the points by the looks of things as she comes towards the top of this climb. Also moving forward, a couple of riders from the Great Britain national team. It leaves Crack to do the chasing, but she has this little descent as it starts to kick up once more. This is a relentless day. She takes the maximum 4 points on Scott's View. Over the line, it's Crack. Behind, it looks as though Cecilia Trup-Ludwig is there, as is Millie Cousins. And there we get confirmation. Fava Bastiansen takes the 4 points ahead of Amber Crack with the 3. Trup-Ludwig taking 2. Millie Cousins does indeed take the 1, and Cousins so far is well placed in the general classification. Down the descent over the Queen of the Mountain. Oh, big crash, and several riders are down. The green jersey is down. Kristen Faulkner, along with her teammate Nina Burton. Also coming down is Ruby Rose Mangannon. Lauren Dixon has suffered in that crash. She's not just having to have a bike change here, but also change her shoes. She's got a ripped short. She's got the blood coming down the left knee. This has been a day to forget for Kristen Faulkner.
Absolutely, she's had problem after problem today.
Into the final Queen of the Mountain of the day. It's Canyon SRAM Zonda Crypto who come through Melrose with Alice Towers on the front, trying to lead in with Chiara Consoni and Cecilia Trup-Ludwig. This is Dingleton. They get to the base of the climb, 6.1% average, 2.6 kilometers long, and now they launch the Dane. The Danish dynamite goes. Who can react and who can go? Here comes Ferguson in the white jersey with the black gilet. It looks like Nelson's trying to follow, and Wollaston is hauling herself up the lower slopes of Dingleton.
We got the sense that Canyon SRAM Zonda Crypto had something in mind, because they had so many of their riders on the front really driving the pace into the bottom of the climb. And sure enough, we said that she was aggressive and that she would probably want to do something. And it is the Danish rider, previous Tour de France Femme stage winner, Cecilie Trup-Ludwig, that's really lighting up this climb.
Kat Ferguson, the 19-year-old British rider, is able to match pedal stroke for pedal stroke a Tour de France stage winner. Josie Nelson, the young British rider, the 21-year-old in that indigo jersey of Picnic Postinel. Well, she's been inspired from her teammate who took the stage victory yesterday, trying to come across. Wollaston isn't making the inroad she once was. Gasparini in the white jersey takes a look over her right-hand shoulder. Well, there's only Wollaston on the wheel. It's a now or never, do or die kind of move right now. And over the top and on this climb, this is going to be decisive here. Ferguson flicks the elbow, but Trup-Ludwig, she doesn't come through.
At the top of this climb, the riders only have 23.4 kilometers remaining of the stage. So any gaps that open up here, if the riders keep pushing on, the gaps aren't going to close before the finish. And of course, we know that there are valuable bonus seconds on offer at the stage finish. And so any riders who are in contention for the general classification need to try and stay on terms. And that's what we're seeing happening here with Ali Wollaston, desperately trying to close this gap and get back towards the wheel of Kat Ferguson, who is really her biggest rival at this point.
We're starting to see the groups fragment fragment. The third group on the road is being led by Anna Henderson of Little Trek, the Olympic silver medalist, whilst Caroline Swinkles, it looks like, in that white jersey, is attacking from that group to try and bridge across. She knows that this could be a crucial and dangerous move. And meanwhile, at the back of the group, you've got Ruby Roseman Gannon. You've also got Lucia Ruiz Perez, who is going out of the back. Also, Esme Peppercamp is starting to suffer under the impetus and the pace being set at the front here.
And it looks like there are some riders from Team UAE ADQ just managing to get back in contact with the wheel of Ali Wollaston. Caroline Schwinkels, I think, is there. She was also in the top 5 of the general classification, and she needs to keep her hopes alive.
Still chasing. She hasn't seen the front of the race since that crash. It's the Olympic champion and the current leader of this race of the Lloyd's Tour of Britain women, Kristen Faulkner, who right now is waving goodbye to this green jersey. She's had a day to forget, but she's chasing, she's brave, she's not giving up the fight here.
She absolutely won't give up, but she's had multiple bike changes, a shoe change. She's hit the deck on more than one occasion. She's had really great teammates around her all day, but at this point she's used up all of those teammates pretty much, and so now it's left to her to try and do the work by herself.
The umbrellas are up, the rain is falling, but still the crowds come out to cheer. It's Ferguson who is determined, she's focused and poised on the front. Faulkner, she still chases, she still looks comfortable despite all of the work that she's done today.
She's a really good rider to watch, actually. She looks smooth, she looks controlled. I'm sure inside it doesn't feel very controlled, it feels quite desperate, but she won't give up until she crosses that finish line.
The climb starts to plateau and flatten out. On the front, it's Eleonora Gasparini in the white jersey. We've got 6 riders now who are going clear, and the chase behind is led by Lauren Dixon. In the front group, it looks as though we've got Gasparini, Uttrup Ludwig, Ali Wollaston has made it across. It's Kat Ferguson, Caroline Schwinkels, and indeed the final British rider, Josie Nelson.
The team that have really missed out on this a Little Trek, they were so aggressive earlier in the stage. They were constantly trying to force moves and keep the pace high with Lizzie Deignan and Loretta Hansen. And of course, Rihanna Marcus was sitting in a really good position in the GC going into today's stage. And so she's actually the main rider who's missed out with this move going up the road.
This is a strong position for UAE Team ADQ because in this group of 6, they're the only team to have 2 riders represented. So right now they've got the numerical advantage. They can try and use this well, but also for the group as a whole, if they want to try and stay away, they know they've got a team who are going to fully commit here.
Exactly, but actually, so normally in this situation, you might put pressure on the team with the numerical advantage to do most of the work. But actually, it works to the advantage of so many riders in this move of 6 to keep working, to cooperate, and to make sure that the gap stays open.
Kat Ferguson has come off the back of a altitude camp. She comes into this race with great form. She wanted to try and go for a stage podium, and potentially, having looked at the stages, she wanted a shot at the general classification. Don't forget, she came into today's stage 4th overall at 14 seconds. She's already taken 2 bonus seconds of that intermediate sprint in Kelso. She's moved herself closer, but her nearest rival is Ali Wollaston, who right now has elevated herself to 9 seconds in arrears to the green jersey, who currently is more than a minute and a half back.
Exactly. So at the moment we have a new virtual race leader in this group of 6, but the sprint at the finish is going to be so hotly contested because it's not just about the stage honours, it's about those bonus seconds as well.
It's a desperate day. You can see the riders, the fatigue is setting in, the shoulders starting to rock and roll with gritted teeth, but these riders have given us a show. The rain continues to pour. They're working well together. They're coming towards the top of Dingleton, the final Queen of the Mountain of this year's Lloyd's Tour of Britain women. And this is where we'll seal the deal in that Queen of the Mountains competition. Kat Ferguson sees a Yorkshire flag on the left-hand side of the road. That's got to be some motivation for her.
Absolutely, and she's one rider who won't be worried about the fact that it has been so wet and continues to be so wet today. She loves these hard conditions. We've seen her win races in these wet conditions, in these cold conditions, and mentally that's going to be a huge advantage for her.
Caroline Swinkles flicks the elbow, hands over to the former New Zealand road race champion Ali Wollaston. You can see in the background it's fragmented into 3 groups. Lauren Dixon, who's on the front for Hansling Alba Development Road Team, that's a continental level rider who has only been racing a little over a year, and she's mixing it up with these top World Tour professionals.
Her has been so impressive, and it's not actually, but her reaction to, she had to have a bike change earlier, but she stayed calm and she managed to get herself back to the front of this race.
Over the top of that Queen of the Mountain, the final Queen of the Mountain, it's Kat Ferguson who takes maximum points. 10 points for the Brit. Wollaston taking 9, Uttrup Ludwig taking 8, Nelson with the 7, Gasparini taking 6, it's Swinkles with the 5, Dixon taking 4, Van Dam with 3, Crack taking 2, and Jastrab taking 1. The climbs are done. Destination Kelso. Inside the final 6 kilometres, 5 riders lead the stage. Ali Wollaston of FDJ Suez. We've also got Kat Ferguson, the leader in the young riders jersey, who's just going through and doing her turn now. 2 riders from UAE Team ADQ, Caroline Swinkles, number 15, number 13, that's Eleonora Gasparini. And at the back here, it's the 21-year-old British rider, Josie Nelson of Picnic Postanel.
It's really unfortunate that the rider who actually kicked off this move, Cecily Uttrup Ludwig, is no longer with this lead group. It was 6, it's now 5. She seemed to have a mechanical problem. I think she's made her way back into this chasing group, but it's a real shame for that rider. Ah, there she is, we can just see her there. But it's a real shame for that team who worked so hard to get her in the right position at the right time, and for her as a rider to have missed out.
You can just see Cecilia Uttrup-Ludwig in that pink jersey slotted in the middle of the group. 5 kilometres to go for our 5 leaders, and Kat Ferguson is working well. They've all got that cohesion. At the back of the group, number 132, that's the British rider, Grace Lister. Just to her far left side, number 184 in the fluorescent gilet, that's Millie Cousins. She's well placed in the general classification, as is Imogen Wolf, who's there in the yellow jersey for Visma Lisa Bike. And meanwhile, in the 3rd group on the road, this is Kristen Faulkner in the green jersey, who's having to pull and haul this group back to try and limit her losses here.
Absolutely, and there's no impetus for those riders to really work with her because most of them have team leaders, teammates in the groups ahead. Kristen Faulkner has obviously lost her own teammates, having used them up in her service at various other points in the stage where she's run into difficulty.
The first chasing group has gone through 5 kilometres to go, and meanwhile, this is like a train here. Nobody's skipping a turn, everybody's working well. Josie Nelson has got a bit of a conundrum on her hands because a teammate, Megan Jastrab, is working at the head of this chasing group, the first chasing group, along with Lidl Trek, who have completely missed this move. Rihanna Marcus is trying to salvage her position in the general classification, and meanwhile, these 5 go through 4 kilometres to go.
Yeah, Josie Nelson is the one rider who perhaps isn't taking all of her turns in this lead group because she can use the excuse that she has her team leader, Megan Jastrab, behind. Megan Jastrab obviously started the day in the best GC position for that team, which might actually lead to Josie Nelson's advantage and mean that she's a bit fresher coming into the sprint finish.
Still, it's Faulkner in the green jersey who's working tirelessly. She's trying to salvage that green jersey, but you get the feeling that it's all but too much for the rider from EF Education Oatley. The first chase group go through 4 kilometres to go, and the weather conditions start to worsen. You can see the raindrops on the camera lens right now, but this isn't deterring these riders in the lead. And for Kat Ferguson, who's an exceptional cyclocross rider in the winter, she's right at home now.
Absolutely, we've seen her ride so well and take so many good results in these wet conditions, so she'll be relishing this.
Still they pursue, still they try and chase. 3 kilometres to go for our 5 leaders out front. They still are fully committed. You can see though that the shoulders are starting to rock and roll, some tired bodies, the head starting to drop. That shows and indicates there's a lot of fatigue here in this leading group.
Yes, absolutely, and it's not just the roads that are going to have led to that fatigue, but also the weather conditions that the riders have been having to deal with throughout the stage. And you would say actually that Team UAE ADQ have a bit of an advantage here because they've got 2 riders, so they can share the workload a little bit more.
2 riders from 5 as the first chasing group comes through 3 kilometres to go. It's still Rihanna Marcus and Anna Henderson of Lidl Trek who are working on the front. Still there's no change at the front of the second chasing group with Kristen Faulkner in that green jersey. AG Insurance Soudal have got a couple of riders in that group. Given the fact that UAE Team ADQ have got the numerical advantage, how can they try and use that to their advantage?
I mean, Eleonora Gasparini is obviously going to be protecting the interests of her teammate, Caroline Schwinkels. She sits in the best GC position, but Schwinkels can maybe get Gasparini to do a bit of a lead out to make sure that she's well positioned into the finish and potentially pick up some bonus seconds.
Don't forget, at that first intermediate sprint of the day in Kelso, it was Wollaston who took the 3 bonus seconds ahead of Kat Ferguson, who picked up 2. Now we start to see the attacks and the counter-attacks. Gasparini is detached and she's ejected out of the back of this front group as now 4 riders go through 2 kilometers to go, and Schwinkels is taking a brave risk here in trying to go for the stage victory. She's right up there in the general classification. She came into the day 5th overall at 14 seconds. Can she try and eject Ali Wollaston, who now has a little bit of a deficit to try and make up? Meanwhile, at the front, it's Linda Reedman in the yellow jersey on the front. She's trying to protect the interests of number 75, and that's Imogen Wolf.
On paper, of course, Ali Wollaston is probably the fastest finisher in this group. We saw an indication of that at the intermediate sprint where she crossed the line first. So for Caroline Schwinkels, she knows that she probably doesn't stand much of a chance in a mano-a-mano sprint with Ali Wollaston.
The rain is falling heavily over the river, making that sweeping left-hand turn. Schwinkels still on the front. In second wheel, that's Josie Nelson. She's following each and every move. You can see that Nelson has good legs. She's poised and ready, and she wants to try and deliver today for Picnic Postanel. On the right-hand side, that's Anna Henderson moving her way forward, number 35. And look at this. This is a complete washout. It's a treacherous run in here into Kelso. They've got the red kite ahead, and Schwinkels is saying, come on through. We need to keep working together. We need this cohesion if we want to try and stay away.
The riders have, of course, already seen this finish. They started in Kelso. They've been through the intermediate sprint in Kelso, but they've got those cobbles to face, and with the rain that's coming down, those could prove difficult.
A strong group who is chasing behind, but could it be all but too late for them to try and catch these riders? Gasparini is trying tooth and nail to try and get back to this group of 4. Is she going to go straight past them? By the looks of things, she's going to use the speed and power and go on the left-hand side. Where's the reaction going to come from? Kat Ferguson gets out of the saddle in that black jersey. She gets onto the wheel of the young Italian rider. They go into this sweeping left bend. 500 meters remain. Schwinkels is at the back of this group in the white jersey. Meanwhile, the chasing group behind only just goes through 1,000 meters to go. That's the Flamme Rouge, and the leaders are already going into the final over the bridge, and they can already see 300 meters remaining. The question is, who's going to go first? Who's going to get the jump, and who's going to be willing to take it up early? Kat Ferguson sits in second wheel. Wollaston, you have to say, is the fastest rider of these 5. She's sitting in third wheel. She's shoulder to shoulder with Josie Nelson. Onto the cobbles now, and here goes Kat Ferguson. Kat Ferguson's got the acceleration. She's got the injection of pace. She's got the jump on the rest of them. Josie Nelson trying to come through. Well, the cat is out of the bag. Ferguson wins, and it's a first World Tour victory.
And a second place for another British rider, Josie Nelson, on, let's be honest, a really wet and brutal stage into Kelso.
Meanwhile, the chasers behind go through 300 meters to go. They round the left-hand sweeping bend. They're going to get onto those cobbles any moment now. It's Anna Henderson who's up towards the front. Lauren Dixon is there, as is Sarah Van Dam in the red and blue jersey. Just alongside her, Millie Cousins in the fluorescent gilet. She's looking to try and take a top 10 in this race, as is Imogen Wolf in the yellow jersey. Look at this for Brits. This is incredible. Millie Cousins is looking to try and take a 6th place on the stage. A lunge for the line. Quinty Ton is up there in the 10th position too. Well, what a finish, but no question about it, Ferguson wins a first World Tour victory, making it a British 1-2.
She said that she had great aspirations coming into this race. Oh, now look, this is Kristen Faulkner, the green jersey, about to cross the line, but it's been such a hard day for her, and sadly that green jersey is going to be off her shoulders at the end of today.
Well, thanks to those bonus seconds on countback, it will be Kat Ferguson going into that green jersey. It's been a day to forget for Kristen Faulkner, but she fought bravely. This rider, though, is a day to remember, a first World Tour win.
Kat Ferguson claims a win on stage 3, just ahead of Josie Nelson, Ali Wollaston and Caroline Schwinkels. Eleonora Gasparini was 3 seconds back in 5th, and then Millie Cousins led in a group at 38 seconds. A great day for Kat Ferguson as she celebrates her first World Tour victory. Lizzie Dinan won the day's Combativity Award. And Ferguson was back on the podium in the points jersey. She's also the best young rider. And most importantly of all, she now leads the Lloyd's Tour of Britain Women.
So over the moon, I think this was one of the races I was most excited to do this season, and I really wanted to come here in good form and show Britain how good I can be, and I think I proved that today.
I think seeing at the end, they were a bit emotional at the end.
Yeah, really emotional, and even now talking about it, and I mean, it's so lovely to have my family here, and it really is a team win. The team really supported me, and I feel, so lucky to have them.
Tough day out there, conditions, a few accidents. Talk me through your day.
Yeah, really tough conditions and lots of crashes and misfortune, unfortunately. But yeah, I was lucky to get in the winning move, and we worked well together as a group, and then I just knew if I positioned myself well into that final corner, I could probably win the sprint.
Yeah, stage win, young rider, now obviously a GC 3-second buffer there. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, a little bit nervous, to be honest. Now it's going to be a rough night's sleep. I think I really want to hold on to it. It's a position that I didn't think I would be in. So yeah, I think we have to look and make a good plan to hold on to it for tomorrow.
Confirmation of the GC. Kat Ferguson leads Ali Wollaston by 3 seconds and Caroline Swinkles by 12. Then there's a bit of a gap to Rayanne Marcus at 40 seconds, with Sarah Van Dam, Megan Jastrab and Cecile Ludwig at 52 seconds. The Tour's first visit to Scotland produced some terrible weather, but a sensational day of racing. Join us again tomorrow for the final stage to find out who will win the 2025 Tour of Britain Women. Welcome to day 3 of the 2025 Lloyd's Tour of Britain Women and the first visit to Scotland in the history of the Tour. We're in the beautiful market town of Kelso in the Scottish borders, which hosts the start and finish of today's stage. With 2 stages done and 2 to go, we're at the halfway point in the race and it couldn't be tighter at the top of the leaderboard. The peloton rolled out from Hartlepool in damp and windy conditions. Very early on in the stage, there was a dramatic moment for race leader Kim LeCourt as she went down heavily.
Ooh, big crash at the back here, Hayley. And the green jersey's down.
Happily, she was able to continue. 3 riders broke away. Tiffany Keep of Das Hutchinson, Madeline Leach of Hansing Alba Development Team and Smurfit Westrock's Lucy Gadd built up a lead of over 2 minutes. Keep won the sprint at Gisborough and she was out front on her own over the first climb of the day at Marske Hill, but the race was kicking off and she was soon swept up by the chasers. On the first pass through the finish line at Saltburn, Kristen Faulkner picked up 3 bonus seconds.
A throw for the line, well, try and separate them. A photo finish between Ferguson and Faulkner.
As the race hit Marske Hill for the second time, Mara Roldan of Team Picnic Post NL made the decisive move. Rihanna Marcus of Little Trek tried to bridge the gap, but coming up Saltburn Bank, the young Canadian still had an advantage.
And they say fortune favours the brave, and it's favoured Mara Roldan. It's exceptional the way that she's ridden, and nobody nobody could do anything about it. Not Olympic champions, not national champions. And Roldan is going to win stage 2 of the Lloyd's Tour of Britain Women.
In the general classification, Kristen Faulkner now leads by 4 seconds from Rhianna Marcus. Ali Wollaston is third at 12 seconds and Kat Ferguson is up to fourth, 14 seconds off the lead. Caroline Swinkles is fifth, then Megan Jastrab heads a group of 3 riders at 16 seconds. The final stage of this year's tour is a short city centre circuit of Glasgow, so today's stage should prove decisive in the GC battle. At the start in Kelso, the main contenders were preparing for the longest and toughest day of the race.
The GC is really close. There's quite a few of us that are on the same time, so yeah, I'm excited to see what we can do out there today.
Yeah, we're really happy. I moved up a few places in GC, so yeah, we're really looking forward to today.
Today is definitely going to be the hardest stage. It's the longest, the most amount of elevation.
The racing so far has been really hard, and I think today's Queen stage will be too. Everyone is like going all in, so yeah, I expect a really nice race today.
Each day I'm seeing how the girls are riding, and yeah, I'm excited for what's to come today.
The race is going to be really, really hard today, so just staying in good position all day. I think it's going to be a race of attrition, and whoever's there in the final is going to get the best spot in GC.
It would be really nice to just try and move up into that podium spot. To do that, I think we need to be aggressive. We've sort of been on the back foot the last 2 races, and we definitely have the team physically. We're always there when other teams have numbers lacking. We just need to be a bit smarter in how we use that.
My teammate Anna Anderson, she's still in place 10 in GC, but she's not that far back as well. So I think many things can happen, but GC will definitely get shaped today. And yeah, it will be a really hard one.
It's definitely going to be a challenging day, and it's 3rd stage, so people's legs are different. So yeah, we'll see how people show up today.
Today's the day to perform.
Right, here's what the peloton will be facing today. The Scottish Borders stage marks the first time in Women's Tour history that the race has visited Scotland. Starting and finishing in Kelso, it's also the longest and hardest stage of this year's race, at 143.8 kilometres long with over 1,800 metres of ascending. Climbs at Scots View, Dingleton and Dunan Hill will test out the peloton before they return to Kelso for the intermediate sprint. The riders then do a short loop, passing through Melrose and repeating 2 of the categorised climbs before racing to the stage finish on Kelso's cobbled Market Square. The riders are lined up at the start in Kelso, so let's join commentary with Hannah Walker and Hayley Simmons.
We're in the beautiful market town of Kelso in the Scottish Borders, which hosts the start and finish of today's stage. You can see the jersey wearers lined up on the start line. The flag is waved. The fans have arrived to greet the riders. We leave across the cobbles here in the square. You've got Kristen Faulkner in the green jersey as the leader of the race. Anuska Costa, watch out for her in the blue jersey. Mara Roldan, yesterday's stage winner, in the red jersey. And Great Britain's very own Kat Ferguson in the white jersey as the best young rider. Well, the crowds have come out in force to welcome the riders and to cheer them on. And thankfully, the sun is shining. There is the European champion on the far left side in the white skin suit and the European bands across the chest. And take a look at Das Hutchinson in the blue and lime green jersey. There is a closer look at the Olympic champion and the leader of this race in the Lloyd.